Call to
So I'd
order
like
in a
to
minute.
pick up with this hand.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our June 24th Finance and Administration Committee. We are going to kick it off with some conversation around the airport. So Larry Crowder and your team, if you guys want to make your way up. And by the way, thank you for the Phelps Field socks.
You're
Fantastic.
very welcome. I told Jacoby that there is a trick to it because it actually has. We have 4 left and 4 right. So you got to make sure the left is on the left and the right is on the right when you take a look at your socks. So thank you for having us. Always appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to our council partners. Today we're here to talk about the 2024 bond issue. And Rob, our CFO, is going to cover the details of that in the presentation, and Lisa Corcoran, our newly promoted Chief Development Officer, and I are here to support that and answer any questions that you might have. Rob?
Thank you, Larry, and good afternoon, committee members. Appreciate the time today. We do have a presentation. I'll go through it relatively briefly, but if there's any questions as I'm going through it, please interrupt and ask those questions as I'm going through. We'll be able to answer those along the way. So just really quick, I won't spend a lot of time on this slide, but just wanted to summarize essentially sort of the process of where we're at in terms of issuing and selling the bonds. So I won't go through each item on there. We're really at step number 2 here, which is the joint resolution, is what we were seeking approval from City Council on July 15th. Essentially, steps 1 through 4 really goes to bond document preparation. So it's all those legal documents essentially that go in front of investors and our underwriters that are part of that. Steps 5 through 9 really just are talking about the last really 2 months probably of this process in terms of us actually issuing, selling those bonds to the marketplace. So there's a lot of steps involved with issuing and the bonds. But again, we're in this really step number 1, 2, and 3 in terms of bond preparation of the documents itself, and going through some of those legal documents. And there are quite a few. I will go through a couple of these at a very high level a little bit later in the presentation, but just sort of wanted to outline the process of this and talk a little bit about what's all involved with selling bonds. And so with this, just concentrate on this slide just with the first 2 items. So we are governed by the interlocal agreement, and that's an agreement between the city and the county in terms of operation of the airport itself, and sort of outlines some of those requirements as part of this. One of the items that's included in there essentially is a joint resolution if the airport does want to incur long-term debt, which is what this bond issuance is going to be for. And so the joint resolution, which what we are seeking council to approve, essentially outlines and authorizes and selling of Series 2024 bonds, which is what we are calling this bonds, is Series 2024, as required under the interlocal. The rest of the documents that you see up there essentially are not going to be approved or needed to be approved by City Council. That essentially will be done through the county because the county is technically the issuer of the bonds backed by airport revenue. But I just wanted to list those out because there are quite a few documents that are part of this process. And so just wanted to mention those in terms of some of the master resolution, the supplemental, and the revenue bond agreement. In addition, that's not all. There are more preliminary official statements, and the official statement is essentially the document that investors will use that outline all of the information about the airport. What facilities we have, sort of outlook in terms of our capital program, the finances of those. The feasibility report is another long document that we are happy to provide to any council members that would prefer to read that. And that outlines sort of the historical information about the airport as well as forecast. Are we going to be able to meet those obligations in terms of selling the bonds? So those are those 2 documents. And again, those documents are under or being drafted right now, under review, and we will work through the county with those. And again, if anybody wants to see those documents, we are happy to provide. In terms of a timeline, so we are here in front of the committee and eventually City Council to ask for approval of the joint resolution. We are targeting July 15th as that date for approval of that. With the rest of the documents and the timeline, we are looking at August for a lot of the resolution approvals for the master supplemental resolutions, revenue bond agreement that we will have with that. September, we go to the rating agencies. And so this is our sort of our road show to talk about the airport in Spokane and the region as a whole in terms of sort of making that story about why people should purchase those revenue bonds from Spokane airports. We will go to Moody's and S&P for those ratings. And then we will go in October, sort of that sprint that happens right at the end. September and October is really where a lot of things happen all in a very short period of time. So we will post disclosure documents. We will market those ones. We may go actually on a road show and talk to investors about the bonds. And then we will price and sell and close those bonds in October as our time frame. So with that, sort of get the documents out of the way and the legal stuff, let's talk about what we're funding, really the fun stuff about how we're improving the airport, what that looks like. And so there are really 4 projects that are part of this issuance that we are working toward. The first one is Concourse C-Trex. So it's finishing off essentially the east side of Concourse C-Trex. For those who have been at the airport recently in the last, or really 2 weeks or so, you've seen Concourse C West refer to gates C, 7, 8, and 9. And how great that looks, at least in our opinion, that looks really great, but really a great improvement in terms of the airport, in terms of gate capacity, but just the overall look and feel of that terminal. So we are going to be doing the east side of this, and I'll get to a slide just in a second that sort of orients you in terms of where we are looking to do that at. The second item we are including is the administrative building, and that's essentially right now we really don't have a lot of areas to expand in terms of staffing capacities right now with where we are. We are above the ticket counters in the Southwest United Delta area. There's just not any room to expand in terms of our current facilities. So we are going to include about $27 million for administrative building to accommodate staffing at the airport. The next one is a fuel facility expansion. What this is going to do is add a 4th fuel tank to our existing fuel farm. And I have a depiction of this that's cost about $10 million. And there's 2 potential projects that we'll do with Phelps Field of about $5 million. And I have pictures of this, and we'll go through that in just a second. What we call our gateway improvement project, so sort of that entrance to Phelps Field along Fancher area and Rudder, as well as potentially relocating the maintenance facility from where it is. So just to sort of orient and walk through, this is sort of the west side. You can see on the left-hand side of the slide there, you can see Concourse C, the west side being under construction, where that is obviously open now at this point in time. I don't have a cursor, unless I do have one on here. Yeah, on the right side, though, where that ground load area is, Jacoby, if you can go in that blue area right there. Essentially what we're doing is we're taking the ground load operation, we're demolishing that, I think as of this week. As of this week, we're going to start demolishing that. And we will add 3 new boarding bridge gates there. So what you'll have essentially is 9 boarding bridge gates on there. All the look and feel of the same as what you're seeing on that new opened west side of the airport. What that also means is that the existing gates C4, 5, and 6 will also be renovated so it all looks the same once it's complete and finished. So very big project for us, really transformational in terms of the airport and our capacity at SIA. And then this is just another depiction of this. And I really seriously can't tell if this is a rendering on the right-hand side or if it's the actual photo, because it really does look like that. And so people that have been in it know that that's really what it looks like there. So just wanted to orient you in terms of what Concourse C is all about, the renovation and expansion, and what it will look like in the end when we open all 9 gates. Next one is administrative office building. So this is going to be outside of the terminal. It's going to be a little bit on the airport drive, inbound road, excuse me, for that. That's going to essentially house not just airport staff, also we have board meetings there as well for it. And so we are constructing that office building, and we are in the design phase right now of that, pretty far along in that design phase, as well as the contracting for that. In terms of fuel facility, this is an overall picture of our fuel farm that we have right now at SIA. You can see that we have 3 tanks right now in the white there, totaling about 750,000 gallons. We are going to add another 500,000 gallon tank to that, bring that capacity up. That will not be in green, but that's essentially just the depiction that we have there right now, that's going to add additional storage capacity for it. Really key for us in terms of being able to meet the airline's needs for fuel, especially in the winter months, as it's a little bit more problematic transporting fuel over from the west side of the state. This allows us to store that additional fuel for airlines to meet that need and the demand that we have here at SIA. And then the last one, in terms of Phelps Field, we have a couple different projects on here. One of them is what we call our Fancher Gateway improvements. And this is going to be along Fancher near Trent, as well as going out to Rudder, north toward Phelps Field. We are looking at essentially improvements in terms of Fancher Road itself, in terms of sidewalks, some dividers in terms of going north or southbound on there, as well as a sort of a gateway sign, if you will, for Phelps Field. And so that's a project we are including in this bond issue. And then the second one is potentially a relocation of the maintenance facility. Right now, what this maintenance facility is, it's right in the middle of where all the hangars are. It's not necessarily optimal from that standpoint. It's really prime real estate, if you will, for Phelps Field in terms of having additional hangar capacity. And so the right-hand side of that is our existing one. What that really is depicting is that we have a lot of snow removal equipment and some of those other auxiliary equipment that we have out there that are really just outside to all of the elements of the year. And so what we are proposing to do with this project is add that maintenance facility, that capacity, as well as have an indoor storage for some of those snow removal equipment and auxiliary equipment that we have to run the airport and maintain it. And this is the potential location of that, which would be on the northeast side along the river for that. So it can really kind of moving it out of the way with sort of what we'll call our prime real estate out at Phelps to an area a little bit further outside of that main area. With this, our plan of finance, I just have 2 more slides to go, but this is our plan of finance. So we're looking at about $122.3 million of project cost. I'll get to the total bond issuance in the next slide. But this is our funding sources that we have for there. I just note on Concourse C, of that total project cost, that includes the design, the construction, the general contractor, maintenance, advisory services that we have. Over half of that is actually funded by grants and PFCs, or passenger facility charge, which is a really great story for us to tell that has such a smaller impact than what you normally see in a project of this size. And final slide is going to be the sources and uses. And so it's cut off a little bit on the right-hand side of this, but we're looking for the issuance amounts of about $140 million. The project cost is about $122 million. The other items that are included in this in terms of funding that is typically with all of these bond issuances, you always include the debt service reserve, which is outlined in our bond documents. Capitalized interest is essentially the cost of borrowing those funds for a period of time before you actually utilize those funds. And there's also the cost of issuance. So legal counsel for the county, for the airport, the underwriters discount, all these other kind of components that basically what is the cost of actually issuing those bonds for us on there. And so that totals around $140 million. I do want to note one thing, that when you look at the joint resolution, it has an amount of $150 million in there. The reason why we did that is just a little bit of cushion in case interest rates go up a little bit. We didn't want to have to come back to the airport board, the city, and the county for approval of the joint resolution. So again, that gives us just a little bit of cushion for the issuance amount versus what we are asking for authorization on. The rest of it is debt assumptions. It's a 30-year bond. We have conservative assumptions in there in terms of interest rate as well as our bond rating. We hope we do better on all of those. But just wanted to provide that, and thank you. There's a little detail for that in terms of the right-hand side of the itemized uses of funds on that lower right-hand side of that chart. So what we are essentially asking for approval of, actually I do have this. I think that is there's final slide. That is just the approval of a joint resolution. And so really what we're pursuing here is just approval of City Council to authorize the issuance and sale of the revenue bonds for the support of the airport's capital improvement program. This is the only document that the City Council actually needs to approve. The rest of the documents will be worked through the county as they technically are the issuer of the revenue bonds on behalf of the airport. And we are seeking the airport board. I just note the airport board did approve this on June 20th in terms of the joint resolution. And you can see we're targeting July 15th for approval by City Council. And I don't know if I shortened the time a little bit, but that concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions that any council members have.
Just a comment. I believe, Rob, first of all, the economic impact to the region of the construction that has already happened on Concourse C. Be great for y'all to come and share those numbers at some point and what this will do for the economy as well. Also, that the airport has been pretty much debt-free. And I think that is another story that has not been told. So this is really our first time incurring debt for construction going forward, which is just a great investment to our region. So I want to make that comment before we go any further.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Point of personal privilege, Mr. Councilman Cathcart. I would like to take this moment to acknowledge our own Mr. Larry Crowder. The American Association of Airport Executives has selected Larry Crowder to receive the organization's 2024 Distinguished Service Award, which recognizes officials for an exemplary career and contributions to the industry. Mr. Crowder has made a number of significant contributions to Spokane Airport and our community. We are delighted to see him recognized for the hard work and dedication that he has continued to demonstrate every day. So, Mr. Crowder, a round of applause for you. Thank you.
I didn't know that was coming, Madam Council President, but it is truly a blessing to work with all of you, work with an incredibly motivated and professional supportive airport board, and an incredible group of committed, dedicated professionals on our team. And we get up every day looking to do the best possible job we can for the community, and just really appreciate that. And I'm very humbled by that recognition. Thank you.
Thank you. A prolific texter, I might add.
Larry, I don't know if you would know this, and maybe this is more appropriate for city staff, but I'm just wondering, have there been conversations historically around completing Rudder and creating another access point around Feltz?
That has come up in conversations relative to emergency management and access to the airport, because we do have some challenges from time to time with the trains that are basically positioning for entry into the yard. And so the agreement that we've had is that the railroad will at least keep one open. So they'll either keep Fancher open and block Park, or the other way around. And that obviously has its challenges. And I think the good news is that through potentially some additional acquisitions, there are some property acquisitions that we might be able to make that would allow us to maybe get through at Waterworks and come down, instead of right now where we have that cul-de-sac. So we're always thinking about that and recognize that it would be better from an emergency management standpoint to have that connection.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. It just seems like, I think both from an emergency standpoint, but also just accessibility. If you're coming from more northeast, it just would help, I think, there too. So
More is definitely better.
yeah. Okay. If there's nothing else, we will move along.
Thank you.
We've got, so this is a letter that I put together regarding SB 6175 and the delayed, well, I want to say delayed, the long time period established for rulemaking. And this is the conversion bill for downtown conversions in particular. So the idea here is writing a letter to the governor asking him and stressing why it's important to expedite that rulemaking. Open to edits and other things, not intending on bringing this to a vote until we vote on the resolution, which will be coming sometime in mid-July. So there's a little bit of time if anybody has any input. Kitty?
I'm sorry I haven't reviewed it yet. Does it mention that we're doing a housing study so that we're going to be like really ready when it's done?
I don't know if it mentions housing study, but that's good input, so. Yeah.
And my understanding is that administration with this is very on board as well, wanting to expedite this and getting 6175 going quicker rather than later, right?
That's my understanding. I mean, I can't say that about the letter specifically, but wanting to expedite,
right.
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, process-wise, what other outreach you've done. Have you reached out to the governor's office already? Have you reached out to our local delegation?
No, this is a letter from council to the governor. So if you don't want to sign it, don't sign it.
No, I'll just say that a month ago, I reached out to Senator Andy Billig when we got the presentation from staff that says that they were struggling with the DOR. And Senator Billig has been reaching out to DOR to try to expedite this process already, and that happened end of May. So I know that it's already in the works and being worked on. Not exactly sure if a letter would do anything in addition to what our local delegation is already advocating for us.
Okay. No, I can understand that. And if Senator Billig is able to get them to move, and we don't need to go to the governor, great, let's go that route.
Yeah, I've heard the same about Senator Billig. I don't think this is in conflict with that at all. I think that as many people reaching out as possible, particularly from a designated city point where we have this as a stamp of approval from us, yes, please do this. Again, I don't see that as in conflict with anybody. Again, just expressing our opinion on this to get it going forward.
And open to any edits or changes that folks may have. And the idea would be that if you sign it, your name's on it, and if you don't, your name's not, and that's just the lettered process. Anything else? Okay. Holiday recognition. Council President, do you want to tee off?
Well, yes, this was brought to us by the Office of Civil Rights, Equity and Inclusion, Jarrell Hayes, that there are some holidays that were not listed in our code, being MLK Day, Juneteenth, and Lunar New Year. And so in an equity fashion, we thought these should be added. We know there is some concerns around labor negotiations, and the administration is in support, but we feel it's necessary to actually keep moving this forward to get it resolved and not let it die on the vine. So I think it's a great idea and probably should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't believe those dates have been looked at since like 2018.
Yeah, I don't think so. And so this codifies Juneteenth, MLK, and Lunar New Year as holidays. So that's what this says. Yes.
Yeah, has there been any outreach done to any of the unions yet around this?
No, and that would have to be the administration. We cannot negotiate with the unions.
Councilman?
No, I don't mean in negotiating, just getting their feedback from this. So I actually brought this up to the unions 2 years ago after the federal government implemented Juneteenth and asked about MLK Day too. And 2 years ago, the unions were very adamant that they preferred it not actually being official holidays. They very strongly preferred them being floating holidays. And the expenses with bringing people in late over the summer, particularly with refuse, that Juneteenth in particular would push they'd be forced to take a holiday in the middle of the week, which means employees would lose their Saturday. They'd have to come in on a Saturday during the summer to do trash collection instead of spending it with their families. And so those were some of their concerns. So this has been brought up as conversations previously, and I didn't move it forward because we do, while not an official city holiday, and I brought this up, I think, to the city attorney at the time and also the former mayor about it too, and it was effectively, while maybe not officially listed, it was not actually changing much for how the city operates by making an official designation. I was also wondering, right here it says that there's an unknown cost at this time. It does have a significant cost impact, and so I don't know if we can get more clarity on what
That's
the
what
costs
we're waiting
would be.
Councilmember Cathcart? And that was the reason we actually pushed this forward, Councilmember Zepone, because some of those questions we had been trying to get answered, and we do want a fiscal impact, absolutely, how this impacts the budget. However, these are state and federal holidays open to negotiations, but they are no less, should be recognized than the other holidays that are on the calendar. So we just have to work through this with our union partners.
Yeah. And we'll take all that feedback, certainly.
Oh, I guess if we're asking for clarification about some of these rules, does officially recognizing these, are we sure that it in effect doesn't allow the different positions that we have in the city float them?
I think it's up to their contracts.
That's what I was thinking, but maybe we
Yeah.
should get clarification.
Yeah.
Councilmember?
Yes, please.
My understanding from previous conversations is when it becomes an official holiday, you are required to take that holiday off. So that was the declaration of it, made that a requirement. And that was the key change there.
Well, maybe we need to rethink that entire thing, if that's the case. But I know in the contracts, there's different provisions for different units and things like that, so we can work through that, yeah.
Another question, I was just wondering rationale around selected holidays. It doesn't seem like it's entirely based on federal holidays. It seems like.
No, it's not.
Was there consideration of other holidays too that could be valuable too if we're adding?
Just provide a list. No, I was not looking to expand greatly the number of holidays. I was looking to recognize two very important and well-acknowledged holidays here in the city of Spokane. Anything?
Okay.
All right. Council vacancy charter amendment. And I should have mentioned, we are, for this committee meeting, we're pulling the camping ordinance as well as the ordinance related to SIRS board membership. Go ahead, Council Member Bingle.
Yeah, so the council vacancy charter amendment is one that came up. We've been trying to find ways to have more public engagement when we have a council vacancy. Currently, the council selects the next replacement, this idea just basically says, okay, if somebody's going to be serving a term that is not like, that's a couple of years or more, we should be basically asking that district, who would you guys like to represent you? As we were thinking through, it just felt like this seemed to be the most representative way that people could find a replacement, and so that's what this would do. Hoping to get this on the November ballot, but what it would do is that once a council vacancy occurs, you would have 120 days for us to have an election, specifically within whatever district it is. So if it's council president, it would be citywide. If it is, District 3, then it would be specifically District 3. But that's the general idea. It gives provisions for when people would need to sign up. And we have sent this off to we have a meeting with, why am I blanking on her name right now?
Dalton.
Thank you, yes. Vicki Dalton on Friday with some people to go over and make sure that everything here is doable and feasible, so.
Councilmember Klitz-Galway.
Is this for any length of time or 2 years and more?
It's for any length of time if it's going to be longer than 120 days. But if the next municipal election is within 120 days, it just goes to that election.
I mean, I guess that's kind of the challenge here. So, I mean, last year we had with Council President Banks stepping down, you had a very tight window.
Yes.
And so.
And Councilmember Ulrich.
Yeah, and so
Yep.
what would that mean for this process?
So what would have happened is instead of Councilmember Ulrich being selected, what would have happened is we would have just waited until your election, and then you would have taken that position right then.
So that would be challenging for not having a full council voting some issues. Also, the fiscal impact on running an election, which could be from $150,000 on up based on when we run it. So I'd be really concerned about the fiscal impact. And Councilmember Bingo, I think I really understand your logic of really getting community or district input on that, but really to get someone to run a campaign for that shorter window of time for 2 years and then to turn around and run again, that is an onus on whoever wants to step up and do that work. So in some ways, that's a barrier to people who are interested in council.
I hear what you're saying. I think that there could be some difficulty there for sure. There's difficulty in running a campaign when you have a full runway. Since the airport's here. Don't worry about it. But there's difficulty no matter what you do. But what this does is we talked over the years about different ways that we can get more engagement on this. And there will be a fiscal impact, right? $150,000 is not nothing. But, when we're discussing policies that are going to be affecting the city, the most likely thing that happens here is, somebody when they transition to council president, then we replace that seat. It's a 2-year. And when you're talking about, again, a $1.2 billion budget, having that district well represented in, the most moral document we put out there, which is our budget. I think I think it's worth $150,000 for that district to be represented. And I'm not even saying it would create any differences. It might be the same exact people selected, but at least then I think that district feels like we had our input on this.
I think Councilmember Klitzky's ready.
I don't know if this is a question or just a comment, but I think that it may result in a difference because people would be less likely to apply if they have to pull together a campaign for a very short term. I think my other question about this is maybe we could go back and look and see how many people have been appointed that haven't been reelected that actually got into a campaign. Because if these folks are consistently being reelected, then the system might already be working. But I don't know the answer to that question.
Or we could be manipulating the system in somebody's favor, right? Because if we establish them and then they have, more knowledge of the inner workings of the city, and then when they go into a debate or whatever, we can be leading the system in their favor. And so I just, as we were looking through and looking for more community input, I didn't see a better way to get a sample than an actual vote, so.
Yeah, thanks. I'm just trying to understand, generally we propose new laws, new charter changes because we're trying to fix a problem. And I didn't hear from this what the problem is that we're trying to address.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we're reactive and sometimes we're proactive. I think this is a proactive measure that helps provide community engagement on their representation. So, yeah, it's laws aren't always reactive. Yeah.
Just comment, question. I guess why now? I'm just looking back at the people that have been appointed, like in 2012, John Snyder was appointed. 2016, Brian Beggs, Betsy Wilkerson for District 2, Ryan Ulrich, and then Karen Stratton for District 1. And then here's me. Questioning as to why didn't voters get a say. So what difference is it from these people to me, I guess? And does it kind of rely like what political beliefs they come from, or what's the reason why this is coming up? Not only also the 150 days of waiting, the amount. I know personally when I applied and was appointed, I kind of did like a mini campaign, asked for people to sign. Over 150 people signed the letter, to support me. So, but I just need to understand.
Yeah, I guess, well, for Stratton, Beggs, and the others that you mentioned, I guess I wasn't on council at the time, and so, I didn't have the ability to propose something then.
Councilmember Cathcart was, I believe, in some of them.
Brian?
I was for
Betsy.
Ulrich, yeah. But I wasn't here for Betsy or the others, yeah.
Aren't you lucky? However, I will have to say with Councilmember Navarrete, when people are appointed, they do have to go to their district, and usually they are getting support from people in their district to support them for the position. So it's not like District 2 or District 1 or District 3 is not having a voice, because people absolutely have the opportunity, once the list has been presented of who the potential appointees are, people come up and start testifying, they show up to the interviews. So there is a voice. So is there a problem? I don't see it, and not for that cost, but they do get a say in the appointment process.
Yeah, I do like the idea of a public forum, having some kind of town hall. I think that is definitely appropriate. We're doing that with our police chief finalists, and I think that does give the public a good way to interact, because, when we do have the interviews during study session, it's 11 a.m. on a Thursday. It's not easy for everybody to get to, and for those, tuning in virtually, it's not the easiest to engage. So, that might be a good alternative, and I think would help more with the community engagement and feedback. So,
Yeah, and I know I had actually brought up doing more public engagement for the last council member appointment process here too, and timeline-wise, we just didn't have time to do that at the beginning of the year. I'm just wondering, has there been considerations of what types of candidates this short timeline would benefit and hurt? Has there been a sort of analysis on that?
I think the candidates would be very similar to the candidates, proposed. For example, Councilmember Navarrete is a very accomplished, very talented individual who, if this process had come up, I believe probably would have risen to the top in her respective election. And so I think the people are going to be very similar, but it gives the public, that district, the ability to vote on their respective representation, which, again, I see as a bonus and as a positive to whoever is selected, because then, again, they have the confidence of, the backing of their district. I think it's positive.
And has there been analysis onto what other cities do this timeline to, and how many other cities do this? I just wonder about the advantages too, though. It seems like well-funded or self-funded candidates would have a benefit in such a short time period where other candidates might not.
Again, I would say well-funded and self-funded candidates have an advantage in every election. But Councilmember, Mr. Wright, we did look at, I don't think other cities are doing this, right? I think we would be the first.
I did not look into that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll find some more information on that, but it's not something I don't know that it's all that common practice. But we're going to look into some things because, again, the language here that we're going to find out on Friday, some of the language might need to be adjusted as well. Special election might not be the right term, but we're going to get a lot more clarity on this on Friday, and then we'll be able to bring it back and represent it. But any questions along these lines, I welcome, so that we can bring them up. And again, the idea is just allowing the district to have as much participation in their representation as possible. And I see that as positive for all of us.
Anything else for Councilmember Beagle? I think to your question, the answer, I think, is 1 out of 5 lost, I believe. Mike Allen, I believe, lost his first retainment.
Good recall.
The others, I believe, all won on that. So, no, I think at the end of the day, one of the most important aspects of this is just making sure that the public feels like they have buy-in. And that, that is part of my effort on the referendum, preserving their vote there, preserving their vote here. I just think it's important that people have buy-in. And I'm sure there's some ways that we could, kind of tweak this a little bit to correct timelines and things like that, and just, consider best practices. But I think at the end of the day, it makes sense that you would have some buy-in from the public on an appointment. And like I said, I'm sure there's some compromise that can be found there too. So anything else? None? Okay.
Council.
Oh, yes, please.
Another consideration for this is if this could impact timing of candidates who maybe knew they were going to step down and signaled to someone to get a head start for a few months, that they could be prepared for that, if that would create some sort of conflict too.
I had not thought of that, but that is a possibility. Yes.
Well, if my seatmate were to be, put into another position somewhere, I would just hope that this council ensures that District 1 voices are listened to, in that appointment process. And so whatever that looks like, whatever that process looks like, but making sure that it's relevant. And I think that's essentially what we're attempting to do here, or Councilmember Ringel is attempting to do with his proposal, is just allow for those districts to have direct buy-in on the outcome. So, anything else? All right, Mike Ormsby, come on down. You're the next SBO contestant.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and members of the council and committee. This is the quarterly process that I think both the council and administration have put into place this year to deal with adjustments in a more orderly fashion than we have done in the past. So the CFO, HR, and civil service are involved in this process, and it's generated by either department heads or others that are seeking salary review or adjustment. In this particular case, there's also a request being made of the council for legislative assistance. So this is the second quarter adjustments for proposed by that group for your consideration and hopefully action at the first meeting in July. I would point out that 2 of these positions are actually being funded by the opioid settlement that was recently, funds were allocated to the city, and those are positions that will be in the emergency management portion of the fire department. So that's great. I would really commend, again, civil service HR for doing the salary review, and the budget office for being able to put that together very quickly to put it in this adjustment so that we can make that higher and have those people on the street with the fire department medical response teams far sooner than we would have had we not been able to get all of those folks to work together as well as they did. I'd be happy to answer any questions that council members may have.
Any questions for Mike? Seeing none? All right, you're off the hook. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.
All right, Matt, Boston, come on down. Lots of SBOs to discuss.
Yes, lots of SBOs. So the 4 SBOs that we presented during the budget meeting, geez, was that last week or 2 weeks ago? I haven't received any questions on them thus far. We're slated to vote on them on July 8th. I don't know if there's any questions today, but happy to take some and bring it back, or we can have another discussion.
Any questions?
All right.
Okay,
Gosh, you guys are too easy on me.
all right.
Was that all 4 of them?
Easy peasy, that's all 4.
Oh, okay.
So on to boards, commissions, committee updates, council ops.
Just chatted.
Just looking at review and the hiring of a new budget manager is what is a priority for us at this time. Also with, from Mr. Ormsby, a salary adjustment for our legislative assistants going forward. So that's kind of the highlights. Anything else?
That covers it.
But overall budget for next year has been discussion. I think all council members have been briefed on the council budget by now, either in groups or individually. So we're just trying to work through that and some looking at our internal structures and information sharing and stuff like that too.
I wonder if we should put council budget on as a finance item next month and we can have a discussion about it. ARPA?
Mr. Chair, while you're at it, I don't see my name listed on this, but I just wanted to plug a couple of items related to ops that I've been working on. Council office budget is a big one, going through and evaluating what our budget will look like next year. As we bring the budget director on board, that'll be a task that they will work with me on right away. So speaking of that, been working on that process to get that person appointed and hired. Hopefully more on that coming very shortly, and helping folks with their administrative work from the AWC conference. I'll make the plug here and I'll send a follow-up email to everybody. Just please let me know if there's any opportunity you want to take for the remainder of 2024 for travel to conferences or any other educational, informational trips that you would want to make this year, so that I can keep track of that in this year's budget. And I created a council office SharePoint page. So on our internal SharePoint, it's a great go-to place if you're looking for templates, if you're looking for quick access to a board or commission appointment list. It's got a bunch of links and frequently used documents there. So I will also send out an email with that link, but hopefully it's helpful for you all.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jacoby. ARPA?
I think we got through the big push of ARPA. Everyone is kind of designated to be a lead to the administration on different items that were kind of designated by council members.
Instead of the 3-person.
Instead of the 3-person work groups that trying to be efficient and speedy to get these out the door and easier. And I think we'll just be continuing to monitor if any RFPs that are going out aren't coming back and bringing that back for conversation on quick deployment. I think that's pretty much all we're doing as the ARPA work group at this point.
Okay. Anything else?
Everybody get assigned one or 2?
I didn't.
You didn't?
I don't think so.
I think you were. Maybe not.
We can change
It was
that.
emailed. Everyone knows.
No, thank you.
Always give you more work. Equity Subcommittee, Lily?
Yes, so we are working on appointing 3 new people to the committee, and also working on the committee helping the city with DEI strategic plan.
Great, thank you. Language access, did we even meet since the last? I don't think we have. Okay. Legislative committee, has the legislative committee met?
I think Eric has an update in general,
And-
but the committee, I don't think met in the last month. It was just the prior month finalizing the federal agenda.
Yeah, Eric, if you want to just give an update on that and the just intergovernmental affairs in general.
Well, I do have one update I wanted to mention. I almost jumped up when you were talking about 6175, the housing conversion legislation. I did want to let you know that rulemaking is slated to begin on July 23rd, and they can choose at that point whether or not to make it an expedited rulemaking. So I feel like we're in really good shape in making progress on that issue in the way that the council would like to see. Excuse me, battling a cold. There's also interest, growing interest, in revisiting that legislation to make the affordability requirements more closely match the elements of Senate Bill 5755, which are the parking lot housing conversion incentives. So just to make them more uniform, make it easier to implement. I know the development community is pushing a lot of you to take that on, and it sounds like that's in the works.
Well, and I remember when we were lobbying for this in the first place, our understanding was that any change to the affordability was off the table. Is that on the table now?
That was certainly the counsel that we received from the legislature and our lobbyists during the previous legislative session. I think, every day is a new day in Olympia, and I've heard that there have been discussions with future Senator Riccelli about sponsoring this legislation. There's some interest there, and so, what was a good bill last year might be an even better bill this coming session. So stay tuned.
That's interesting. I thought the affordability requirements under the parking to people was more onerous than this.
50%.
Yeah, 50%. That's a pretty tall hill to climb. I'm not sure why we'd want to go that direction.
Oh, well, I think there's interest in making the affordability requirements, more conducive to Spokane's situation.
Oh, okay. So changing the numbers, but having them match is what you're
Correct.
saying. Okay,
Yeah.
That's great. The other issue that I know has been brought up, and hopefully once we're through rulemaking, it won't be an issue, but, developers looking to get going today and obviously just have to sit and wait to decide whether or not to move, or they move forward risking whether or not they're in violation of the RCW, which apparently stresses that this has to have to receive the incentive, it has to be a but for this program, the project would have never occurred. And so if they're underway now before rulemaking, then in theory it's not a but for, and therefore wouldn't comply. So that's a big concern I'm hearing from the development community. So if there's going to be changes, that might be one to look at.
Okay. I hear you.
Other questions? Investment committee, we have not met. SIRS.
So SIRS met. We have transitioned into our outside chief investment officer. So when Phil left, we decided not to hire a new chief investment officer and rather have Christine Schisler, who does a great job for us managing the day-to-day operation. She does that. We have a secondary group advice on give us advice on what we should be investing in and those kinds of things. One of the other things that we're looking at is now we're looking at different investment strategies for us to get closer to 100% fully funded, because our unfunded liabilities at this point are pretty high, and so trying to find ways that we can get closer to fully funded, which will take us years to get there, but with good strategy and good policies we can get there. And so that's some of the things we're working on. And there was an ordinance that was pulled, an ordinance that could potentially change the makeup of the board is of concern to the board.
Okay. Aging long-term care.
Nothing, they continue. They should be in their new location in September, which is in the Rock Point buildings.
Okay. AWC.
just completed our annual conference in Vancouver. It was absolutely amazing. Was honored to have members, council members, and some of our team there. A lot of great information that I hope to bring back to us, especially around adaptive designs, parliamentary procedure, OMPA. So it was great that Spokane has a presence. I just want this city to know that we are very well represented at the state level. So I'm excited to report that to you. Councilmember Dillon.
Question. I did hear there was karaoke. What was the song choice, if I may ask?
Is there documentation of that? If there's no documentation, it didn't happen.
Oh, no, there's documentation.
Probably video somewhere.
Oh, there is.
I think of our group, Nicolette was the best performer, but Lily was the best dancer.
Spokane was well represented
Yeah,
at
there we go.
karaoke, too.
I'll have to say, as outgoing president for the association, I was extremely honored to lead this conference this year. It was extremely successful. Next year, it'll be in Tri-Cities, so we can all carpool down in a van. We can karaoke on our way down if we want to, but it will be great. It is important that our electeds and our central staff be exposed to other ideas and to other leaders in this arena. Senator Elias was there, Representative Fay was there around transportation, so the networking was absolutely invaluable to us as a city.
Yeah. I would just add, there were over 450 attendees, elected officials from around the state, making great connections. I think each of us brought back different ideas of things to work on and connections that we can follow up through, which I think is great. So definitely want to plug next year's conference, which will be around June 20th. There's also the Action Days in Olympia, which will be in February. So mark those dates because I encourage all council members to go to that too. And we went through the board training on parliamentary procedure and have some cheat sheets that we'll want to share and possibly follow-up training for all of us to help make it. But it does sound like our council meetings are going a lot smoother than some of our counterparts across the state.
Very good.
Take that, Yakima.
I was going to say somewhere a little closer to us, but okay.
Fire, pension, business as usual. No real updates there. Police, same, Council President?
No, nothing, no updates, no.
Lodging Tax Advisory and Lodging Tax Board?
So
Committee and board?
the Tourism and Cultural Investment Grants Committee should be meeting later in July. Applications close July 1st, so if anyone's out there, get your applications in by July 1st for the committee to be reviewing those for disbursement this year. We've been getting a lot of questions on schedule-wise on when those funds will be allocated. So the committee will meet and make a recommendation to council, the goal being by mid-July to have that recommendation to council. I think there are like over 30 applicants already, so lots of applicants. The committee's recommendation is focusing on starting up new programming and trying to build new ideas and new programs, not trying to invest in the historical programs. If council has different direction, let me know and I can let the committee know. That's not the intent, but I think from previous conversations, that was kind of the goal. There are grants between $5,000 to $10,000. So we'll have that, and that would come to a vote for us end of July, beginning of August to be dispersed. And then the committee would like to get into a regular cycle of meeting in the fall with applications due around September to be dispersed and voted on in October, November through March. And then, so there'd be a October to March cycle of awards, and then a March to September cycle, so kind of your winter and summer cycles. So that's the goal. This year, having gotten started late, we'll do that and then re-meet again for that fall cycle. So that's kind of the update there. Yeah.
Okay. UDPDA? Are you University?
I am on the UDPA. I know they've been going through some changes, but I don't have a report because I've been unable to attend the last couple of meetings. Any update, Mr. Wright? Not at this time.
I assume the same for the association, so we'll go to Visit Spokane.
Visit Spokane had their board meeting while we were at AWC, so did not attend.
S3R3.
The same. We got to get our schedules right, don't we?
Yep, and sadly for the NEPDA, I also had to miss our last because we had the chief interviews at the same time, so. I think that, well, we've got the Equity and Inclusion Initiatives. Is Alex down here?
Alex is out of the office today.
Okay, all right, so we will move along past that. That's all we got on our agenda, so we will,
Well, we skipped the PIEs committees. Should we do that now, too?
I mean, we can.
Or at briefing?
I don't know the list. Maybe briefing might be better.
Briefing?
Yeah, I think briefing will be
Yeah.
better.
Okay.
We need a break.
Okay, all right, well, meeting adjourned.
Hot dog.